So it's been a year now since the catastrophic flood here in western North Carolina. Close to my property, 6 people lost their lives to this flood, and I did a video a couple of weeks after the flood and showed you guys a lot of the devastation in the area. I'll make sure to leave a link for you if you missed that video. But I've been asked to do an update on the gardens so you guys could see how they're doing this year. So last year, this is how it looked. Everything was wiped out, washed away, and here we have it this year. Now, we own this property with family, so my in-laws took care of this garden in the back where I used to have it as a vegetable garden. And so they put some rocks from the river all the way around to trim it out because the other trim landscaping timbers were washed away. So some daylilies came back, and then these flower bulbs here sprung back along with my horseradish and some oregano, my favorite oregano, so I was so happy to see that that survived. A lot of things came back, and then of course some things were washed away. The asparagus, probably my favorite thing to see because I've been growing that for about 12 years now. A lot of mint has sprung up. I had some more flower bulbs come back, some chives, along with some echinacea. So just really happy. This is how it looked a couple of days ago. Things are in full bloom, looking great. And then here was the front garden where I had my square foot garden, and the flood just totally knocked over that chain link fence. Somehow these sunflowers survived. I don't know how. I guess they were protected from the fence and the debris. The biggest problem with this cleanup was that there was so much sand in the whole area, all over the beds. I couldn't even see the beds. The rock ring that was in the center was completely covered up. So I knew there was going to be a long, hard job to get this back in shape. And so I got busy right away, and I got my wheelbarrow and a shovel. I unearthed part of the rock ring. I did end up finding some of the beds, and I would say that the sand was almost a foot deep. I know I took out tons of sand. Now, oddly enough, as I was uncovering everything, I noticed that the complete front of this bed had been washed away. And it's weird how just that bed was destroyed, but the other ones were okay. So I took this little bed here and just removed it, popped it over on top of that one so I wouldn't have to make another one. And I just left the other bed, just left those in the ground. So then I had to clean out all the tops of the soil and remove the sand that way. There was probably 3 to 4 inches of sand on top of all the beds. And of course I had to do that by hand, really. So I just got in there, each bed, and dug out all that sand. And so there was so much. Like I said, I think there was a ton of sand in that area. And then, of course, the fence had to come out. My husband helped cut that out for me, and we had to remove the poles. I lost, of course, tomato plants in that process. So, but overall, I did end up harvesting some potatoes, so I guess that was a good thing. They were way down deep in there. And so just a couple of days ago, this is what the garden looked like then. So you can see it looks real pretty this year. I'm just real proud of it. I have some turnip greens planted over here in this bed. They've been doing really nice, along with a couple of really big basil plants, waist high, and they really need to be cut back a little bit because they are going to seed. And then in the middle, some oregano, which was taking over this entire area, so I cut it back. Rosemary and scallions where that little bed was, and I'm waiting to see if the scallions will just go to seed, and maybe I can make that a little area for green onions. Some green beans, bush beans, nasturtiums, some more rosemary there in the back, and then all throughout this area I have some zinnias which have reseeded, and those just come up for me every year. They just volunteer in this area, and so I love that because they're so pretty in the fall. I have some thyme tucked away down here that I moved in here early in the spring, and then Over here is a bed of sweet potatoes. I put 4 sweet potato slips in here, and they are loving this area. Then a lot of mint just grows along the fence line, and I have some garlic chives here going to seed, and that's real pretty there in with the zinnias. And then over here another basil plant looking real pretty, and then in the back I have a lot of scallions which I planted in, I think it was in April. So I tossed out some seeds there, and those are looking great. They like that little bit of shade, I guess, from the summer sun. So this is what it looked like right after the flood, and then the new fence put up here by my in-laws. They put a new chain link fence there. Now the square foot garden is there to the left, just to give you an idea, and this is coming out onto the front yard. And so there was a fence here, and along the fence line were rows of Sharon bushes and knockout roses, and then the fence was swept away and wrapped around this tree. And so there was a privacy fence here along the back of the property, and all of that was washed away. And then with the help of some family, they brought over some heavy equipment. I was not here for that, and they hauled off all of the debris. And then now here's the new fence, and some of the hostas came back. My mother-in-law takes care of the hostas in this area here, and so they put up a new privacy fence all the way around, and it looks really nice. So we're real happy about how everything has been coming together. And then of course here in the back is the river, and this is how it looked before. A lot of weeds all over. I just hated to go down to the water because in the summer there were so many insects and snakes. But this year, because of the flood, all of that was washed away, and it's been clean all summer long. So it's been very enjoyable. A lot of fishing because of the river. The trout farm was destroyed, and all the trout were released into the water. So there's been just a lot of fishing back here. It's completely stocked with rainbow trout. But anyway, so there is my update on the flood, and I appreciate you stopping by and checking it out. And thank you so much for watching. Y'all have a beautiful day.